The story of Mother Teresa, a woman whose life was an unwavering testament to love, sacrifice, and compassion, culminated in a final act that left millions deeply moved. Her legacy, built over decades of tireless service to the poorest and most marginalized, took an unexpected turn in her final days. It was then, facing both physical pain and the weight of a life marked by constant renunciations, that she decided to share a truth that not only revealed the depth of her humanity, but also exposed the spiritual sacrifice she had silently endured for years. This final confession, filled with vulnerability and a truth that echoed in the hearts of those who knew her, was not merely a farewell message, but a legacy that redefined what it means to live with faith in the midst of darkness. Before anything else, write this decree in the comments. I decree a miracle of prosperity in my life. I am worthy, I accept and receive with gratitude all the blessings the universe has for me. Mother Teresa's final words came like a bolt of light in the middle of a storm, bearing the heart of a woman who, despite dedicating her life to serving others, internally battled a spiritual desolation that consumed her. For decades, she described what she felt as a suffocating darkness, a total absence of the sensation of God's presence. This internal suffering, which she concealed with a smile and an outward strength, was for her a way of sharing in Christ's suffering, of embracing the cross she so deeply revered. In one of the letters she left behind before her death, she wrote with heartbreaking honesty, "My darkness is nothing but the response to His call. If my suffering brings comfort to others, then I will accept it with joy." These words, so full of purpose and resignation, left many astonished and made us rethink the true nature of faith and sainthood. Mother Teresa's final revelation not only touched the deepest fibers of her followers, but also challenged traditional notions of what it means to be a saint. For years, she had been perceived as an unshakable, almost mystical figure, a woman whose faith was a fortress that could not be torn down. But with her confessions, she made it clear that her path was not exempt from doubts, fears, and a spiritual emptiness that accompanied her for much of her life. This did not diminish her legacy. On the contrary, it made it more human, more accessible. She showed us that true faith is not the absence of struggles, but the ability to move forward despite them. Mother Teresa confessed that although she could not feel God, she found His face in the poor, in the marginalized, in those whom society had forgotten. What makes this testimony so powerful is that it not only reveals the personal struggle of a saintly woman, but also reminds us that true love and faith often involve sacrifices that are not always seen. In a world where success is often measured by visible results, Mother Teresa taught us that the real value of a life dedicated to service does not lie in applause or recognition, but in the ability to love without expecting anything in return. Her decision to carry her own cross in silence, to accept her darkness as part of her divine mission, was an act of love so profound that it continues to resonate in the hearts of those who hear her story. Furthermore, her confession leads us to reflect on the nature of suffering and how it can become a tool for transformation. Mother Teresa saw her suffering as a way to draw closer to God, to unite with Christ's sacrifice on the cross. In one of her letters, she wrote, "Suffering is not a punishment, it is a gift. It is the way God allows us to participate in His redemptive work." These words, though difficult to understand for many, serve as a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is a possibility for redemption, an opportunity to find meaning amidst pain. The story of Mother Teresa also invites us to reconsider our own struggles and how we face life's adversities. Her life shows us that we are not alone in our moments of doubt and suffering. Even the greatest saints have faced dark nights of the soul, periods when faith seems unattainable and God's presence feels distant. But, as she herself demonstrated, what matters is not the absence of these moments, but our decision to keep going, to continue loving, serving, and believing, even when everything seems lost. Mother Teresa's final revelation also highlighted the importance of humility and authenticity in our spiritual lives. Despite her worldwide fame and being admired by millions, she never saw herself as someone special. She always insisted that she was merely an instrument in God's hands, someone called to do His will. This humility, combined with her ability to love unconditionally, is what made her a true example of sainthood for the modern world. Her last confession, far from diminishing her legacy, elevated it, showing that even in her humanity, or perhaps precisely because of it, she was a reflection of divine grace. Ultimately, Mother Teresa's message challenges us to live with a faith that is not based on feelings or certainties, but on a deep commitment to the values of love, compassion, and service. She reminds us that we are all called to be light in the midst of darkness, to bring hope to those who have lost it, and to find the face of God in the smallest and most forgotten among us. Her life, marked by sacrifices and trials, inspires us to keep moving forward despite our own struggles, knowing that every act of love has the power to transform the world. Today, as we remember her final words and the impact of her life, we are challenged to look beyond our own concerns and seek ways to serve others. Mother Teresa showed us that even in the darkest moments, there is a light guiding us, a hope that never abandons us. Her legacy is a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference, to be a reflection of God's love in the world, and to find meaning even in the greatest darkness. Her final confession, far from being an end, is a beginning and invitation to live with courage, authenticity, and unconditional love. In the final moments of her life, Mother Teresa left a message that transcended the barriers of time and space, a powerful invitation to all of humanity to accept our weaknesses and move forward despite them. Her message was not from a woman who pretended to be perfect, but from someone who had faced the same insecurities and questions that we all carry within us. With a sincerity that disarmed anyone, Mother Teresa made it clear that her sainthood did not lie in the absence of internal struggles, but in her ability to persevere despite them. In her final words, she stripped away the image of an unattainable figure to present herself as a deeply human woman, whose strength came not from perfection but from her unwavering commitment to love and service. The impact of this final confession was as immense as it was unexpected. For some, it was unsettling to discover that even someone like Mother Teresa had faced such deep spiritual doubts that they accompanied her for much of her life. For others, these words were a balm, a source of comfort that helped them understand that internal struggles are not a sign of weakness, but an inherent part of the journey of faith. In her last teaching to the world, Mother Teresa showed us that even the deepest shadows can coexist with an inner light that guides us. Her life, marked by acts of selfless love, took on even greater meaning when she revealed that this love had flourished amidst her own spiritual trials. In that final act of sincerity, Mother Teresa managed to transform her vulnerability into strength, her silence into a cry of hope for millions. Her last words reminded the world that love and service have a power that transcends any doubt or suffering. She taught us that faith is not the absence of questions, but the courage to keep trusting in the process, even when we cannot see the whole path. This legacy of perseverance and unconditional love continues to inspire generations, reminding us that even in the darkest moments, there is always a light that can guide us. Mother Teresa dedicated her life to comforting the poorest of the poor, but in her final days, she showed us that she had also found solace in her own vulnerability. Her confession was a reminder that we do not need to be perfect to make a difference. What matters is the willingness of our hearts to love, to serve, and to move forward, even when circumstances seem insurmountable. She taught us that true strength does not lie in the absence of difficulties, but in our ability to face them with compassion and purpose. Throughout her life, Mother Teresa faced a kind of darkness that few could endure. In one of her letters, she described this feeling as a total absence of the divine presence, of void that she nevertheless chose to carry in silence. This sacrifice, incomprehensible to many, was for her a way to unite herself with the suffering of Christ and to share in the pain of the most needy. Her final confession revealed that even in that darkness, she had found a light, the light of love, which continued to shine through her actions. She chose not to give up, not to stop, but to move forward with a faith that, though weakened in feeling, remained unbreakable in commitment. Mother Teresa's final words invite us to reflect on our own relationship with doubt and suffering. They challenge us to look beyond our internal struggles and see in them an opportunity to grow and love more deeply. She showed us that faith does not always feel like an elevated state of mind or a constant certainty. Sometimes, faith is simply the decision to get up each day and love, even when everything seems to be against us. This message resonates particularly in a world that often demands perfection and certainties. Mother Teresa, with her life and her words, reminded us that true greatness lies in authenticity and embracing our imperfections and finding strength in our vulnerability. Her legacy is a powerful reminder that love does not need certainties or conditions to flourish. Through her final confession, Mother Teresa left us with a lesson that transcends religion or culture. Life has meaning when lived with purpose. Her unwavering commitment to the poorest and most marginalized was a tangible demonstration that love has the power to transform not only those who receive it, but also those who give it. She lived and died with the firm purpose of being a light in the darkness, a hope for those who had lost faith in humanity. As we reflect on her life and her final message, we encounter a profoundly transformative teaching. Our struggles do not define us, but how we respond to them does. Mother Teresa chose to respond to spiritual emptiness with love, to pain with service, and to doubt with action. This constant act of choosing is what made her such an extraordinary figure. Her life challenges us to do the same, to find our own way to serve and love in a world that desperately needs more compassion. Today, as we remember her last words, we are called to look beyond our own concerns and seek ways to make a positive impact on the lives of others. Mother Teresa taught us that even the smallest acts of kindness can have a profound effect. Her legacy is not measured solely by the millions of lives she touched, but also by the inspiration she continues to generate in those who hear her story. Her final message is an invitation to all of us to live with love and purpose, to be a light for those around us, and to find the strength to keep going even in the darkest moments. Ultimately, Mother Teresa's legacy is proof that true faith is not found in the absence of doubts, but in the ability to keep loving and serving despite them. Her life, marked by sacrifices and limitless compassion, remains a beacon of hope in a world full of challenges. She left us with the certainty that, although darkness may be overwhelming, there is always a light that guides you, a light we find when we live with a heart full of love and dedication. Her story is not just a tale of service, but an invitation to all of us to be better, to embrace our struggles, and to transform the world with the power of love.